She was laughing, that bright, careless kind of laugh people use when they think no one's listening. My wife, Sarah Barrett, 38, real estate agent, proud of her perfect image. The woman who once said honesty was everything. When I opened the door, she didn't even look up. On her phone screen, a man's face. Sharp jawline. Easy grin. The kind of voice that gets too close too fast. He said, "You sure he won't find out?" And Sarah whispered, "He never finds out." Then she smiled, not the smile I married, but the one she sells to clients. And pressed send. I didn't move. Didn't speak. People usually leave before they hear the truth. I stayed. And I heard it all. I didn't plan revenge that day. But something in me shifted, quietly, permanently. The next morning the Florida heat was already burning through the blinds. The air smelled of hot asphalt and dust. I loaded boxes while Sarah gave orders like a boss at an open house. Our 5-year-old son, Tommy, ran barefoot across the driveway, his laughter mixing with the low hum of cicadas. Syrup from breakfast still glistened on his chin. Across the street stood Frank McGuire, our new neighbor, 60s, gray hair, calm posture. A retired cop with eyes that had seen too much. He was watering his lawn, the hose hissing on the concrete. I called out, "Morning. Nick Barrett, just moved in." He nodded once. "Frank McGuire. Retired MPD." His voice had that dry authority cops never lose. Sarah joined us, cheerful, perfect posture. "So nice to meet you, Mr. McGuire. I'm Sarah Barrett." Frank's smile froze. The hose slipped from his hand, spraying his shoes. "You okay?" I asked. Yeah, fine." He looked at Sarah again. "You said your name's Sarah?" "That's right," I said. He hesitated. "Maiden name?" "Kellerman," she answered lightly. "Why?" Frank paused a beat too long. "No reason. You just reminded me of someone." But his eyes said he already knew who. That night, after Sarah tucked Tommy in, someone knocked. Frank stood on the porch, holding a folded sheet of paper. "Sorry to bother you," he said quietly. "Read this when you're alone." "What is it?" He looked past me, toward the hallway where Sarah's shadow moved. "Just keep your boy safe." I waited until she was asleep before unfolding the page. It was a yellowed newspaper clipping. Local woman vanishes before trial, suspected in child's death. The photo was grainy. Younger, darker hair. But the same face. Sarah. She slept beside me, steady breathing, peaceful face. Like she'd never lied a day in her life. I watched her, and that shift inside me deepened, slow, irreversible. The next morning she hummed while flipping pancakes. The smell of butter filled the kitchen. Syrup dripped onto Tommy's plate like nothing had changed. But everything had. When I checked the mailbox later, there was an unmarked envelope. Inside, the same clipping, only now with a note scrawled in ink. "If she starts again, save your son." From that moment, I wasn't her husband anymore. I was the witness. And I wasn't the only one. Frank McGuire, the neighbor, the retired cop with fear in his eyes, was watching too. And he knew more than I did. Frank McGuire didn't say much after that night. He waved from across the street, trimmed his hedges, lived like a man who'd seen too many stories end badly. But I could feel it, the tension behind every polite smile. Sarah started leaving earlier for showings. Fresh makeup. New perfume. That wasn't the scent she used to wear. This one was sharper, heavier, the kind that announces itself before the person enters the room. One afternoon I came home early. Her laptop sat open on the kitchen counter. A text window flashed. "Meet at the Old Ridge lot. No one goes there now." She deleted the rest, but not the timestamp. Yesterday. The front door opened. She walked in, sunglasses still on, voice too bright. "Didn't expect you home so soon," she said. "Finished early," I answered. "Client cancelled." She smiled, That realtor's smile again, and set her phone face down on the counter. Her hands trembled. Barely. That night, I crossed the street. Frank was on his porch, cleaning an old revolver he kept for raccoons. The air smelled of gun oil and cut grass. Evening, I said. He nodded. You found the note. I did. She hasn't changed, has she? I didn't answer. He kept polishing the metal, slow, deliberate strokes. When I was still on the force, he said, there was a case, a kid 5 years old. Same age as your boy. She was babysitting then. Things went wrong. She vanished before trial. His eyes met mine. You married a ghost, Nick? The night air felt heavier. Why tell me now? I asked. Because I think she's starting again. Next morning Sarah said she had an early client in Lakemont. She kissed Tommy, brushed my cheek, and left. Her car disappeared down the hill. I waited 10 minutes, then started my truck. The cab smelled of stale coffee and old leather. I followed her, 3 cars behind. She didn't turn toward Lakemont. She went the opposite way, past the bridge, toward the abandoned ridge lot. Gravel crackled under her tires. The truck engine ticked as it cooled. I killed the lights and waited. Through the windshield I saw her step out. She wasn't alone. A man got out of another car, younger, athletic, maybe 30. They didn't talk at first. They just stood there, close enough for their shadows to touch. Then she leaned in. And he put a hand on her waist. I didn't take pictures. Not yet. I just watched until she drove off, the dust clouds swallowing her taillights. When I got home, Tommy was on the porch playing with his toy police badge. Mr. Frank says he used to catch bad guys, he said. Yeah, I answered quietly. He still does. That night, Sarah came home humming the same tune from breakfast. I asked, how was Lakemont? She didn't blink. Great showing. Might close next week. Her lies had rhythm now, steady, practiced, confident. I almost admired it. But admiration isn't forgiveness. It's reconnaissance. Later, Frank found me by the fence. Did you see her today? He asked. Yes. Then you know. He looked toward her window. She's not done. Not by a long shot. Inside, Sarah's phone lit up on the table. A message glowed on the screen. Next time, bring the boy. He'll love the view. I read it twice. Then looked at Tommy's small shoes by the door. And for the first time, the thought wasn't why did she cheat? It was what else is she hiding? And maybe the view wasn't meant for him. The next morning felt off. Too quiet. Too light. Sarah hummed while packing Tommy's lunch, like nothing had ever happened. Frank asked if he could take Tommy fishing this weekend, I said. She froze for half a second. Fishing? Yeah. He used to do that with his son. She smiled again, too fast. Maybe another time. We've got plans. She didn't say what plans. She never did. When she left for work, I walked across the street. Frank was already outside coiling a garden hose. The smell of gasoline mixed with the morning dew. You read the message? He asked. I did. He nodded. I think I know the guy. The one she met at the Ridge lot. Who is he? Name's Aaron Lowry. Contractor. Did some work for her firm years back. Lost his license after a fraud case. Frank pulled out a small notepad, the kind cops never stop carrying. He's been around trouble for years. Debt scams, women disappearing. I thought he left town. He paused. Guess not. I looked at him. You think Tommy's in danger? He didn't answer right away. Then quietly. With people like her and him, yeah? Always. That afternoon I followed her again. This time she didn't go to the Ridge lot. She drove to a gas station outside town. Aaron was already there, leaning against a blue truck, sunglasses on. He looked like someone who thought charm could hide rot. She laughed at something he said, touched his arm. Then he handed her a small envelope. She slid it into her purse and kissed him on the cheek. Not a quick kiss. Not innocent. When she drove off, I waited for Aaron to leave. Then I walked into the gas station and asked the clerk, "You see that guy? Blue truck?" The kid behind the counter nodded. "Yeah. He's been here all week. Keeps paying in cash. Doesn't buy much. Mostly waits." "Waits for who?" I asked. The kid shrugged. "For her, I guess." That night, Frank came over. Tommy was asleep. Sarah was in the shower. We sat at the kitchen table, the hum of the fridge filling the silence. Frank placed an old police scanner between us. "You still have that?" I asked. He grinned. "I never throw away tools." He tuned the frequency. Static hissed. "Her phone pings every time she calls that guy," he said. "They use a local tower near the ridge. I can trace the pattern." He looked at me. "You ready for this?" I nodded. The next day, Sarah acted like a perfect wife. Homemade dinner. Wine. Small talk about the neighbors. Her mask was flawless. But when she went upstairs, her phone buzzed. "Aaron, tomorrow. Bring the boy. He needs to know who I am." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I heard footsteps. Sarah appeared in the doorway, robe tied loose, hair damp. "You're quiet tonight," she said. "Just tired." She leaned down, kissed my temple. "Don't overthink, Nick. Everything's fine." Her perfume hit me, same sharp scent. The one she'd started wearing right before everything went wrong. She went upstairs. I stayed at the table. The smell of her perfume lingered, heavy and chemical, like something burning slow. Across the street, a porch light flicked once. Frank's signal. I walked over. He handed me a manila folder. Inside, photos. Surveillance stills. Aaron at the Ridge lot. Aaron at the gas station. Aaron talking to someone else. A third man. Older. Dark jacket. No face visible. Frank said, "That's who she really meets." "Who is he?" "Don't know yet. But he's not local. And if he's involved, this isn't just an affair." He looked toward my house. "Keep Tommy close. Don't let her take him anywhere." When I came home, Tommy's window was open. Curtains swayed in the warm air. On his nightstand, a folded paper airplane. On the wing, written in a child's hand, "Mom says we'll fly soon." I stood there in the dark, listening to the crickets outside, my heart beat too loud in my ears. For the first time, I wasn't sure of who my wife was planning to leave with. And it wasn't just her I'd need to stop. The next day, Frank showed up early, before sunrise. He didn't knock. He just stood by my truck, holding a small black case. "Security cameras," he said. "2 motion sensors, 1 tracker. We're done watching through curtains." We worked in silence. The morning smelled of dew and engine oil. He climbed the ladder, mounted the first camera under the gutter facing the driveway. I ran the wiring through the garage, connecting the feed to an old monitor in my workshop. Frank checked the angle. "Good," he said. "We'll catch every car that stops here." He looked at me, then at the house. "She's leaving earlier every day, isn't she?" "Yeah. Then tomorrow, we follow her separately. You stay close enough to watch. I'll stay far enough to stay unseen." Sarah came downstairs around 7, dressed too sharp for a weekday showing. Perfume again. The sharp kind. She kissed Tommy on the head and said, "Be good for Daddy." Then she left. I turned on the monitor. Her car backed out, calm, slow, confident. 5 minutes later, Frank's pickup rolled past the corner. By noon, she turned off the highway, down an unmarked dirt road. The feed cut out. Too far for the signal. But Frank's voice came through the radio we'd set up. "She's not going to the ridge," he said. "She's heading east. Toward the quarry." I waited at home, pacing the kitchen, every clock tick louder than the last. At 3:45, the back door opened. Sarah stepped in, calm, smiling, a paper bag of groceries in her hands. "Hey," she said softly. "You okay?" "Yeah. Just work stuff." She set the bag down, reached for me, kissed my cheek. The smell of that perfume again, chemical, almost metallic. She smiled, but her eyes didn't. "Tommy upstairs?" "Nap time." She nodded, unpacked fruit, a bottle of wine, and something else, a small envelope she slid into her purse. That night, Frank came by. "She met with Aaron again," he said. But he wasn't alone. Same third man. Same dark jacket. He unfolded a printout, grainy photo from a distance. The man was handing Sarah something. A key. Frank's jaw tightened. "You ever seen her carry a safety deposit box key?" "No." "Then you're about to." The next morning, Sarah said she'd take Tommy to breakfast. "Just us two." I forced a smile. "Sure. He'd like that." When they left, I followed 2 minutes later. Frank tailed from behind me, slow, cautious. They didn't go to the diner. She drove to the post office, parked behind it, and walked inside with Tommy's hand in hers. 10 minutes later, she came out alone. No Tommy. My heart froze. I threw the truck door open, but Frank's voice crackled in the radio. "Wait. Look." Across the lot, I saw a blue car, Aaron's. Sarah leaned in, said something through the window, then walked away. The car door opened. Tommy climbed out, holding a toy airplane. Sarah took his hand again, smiling like a perfect mother. Aaron drove off. I waited until they came home. Tommy ran to his room. Sarah went to the kitchen, poured wine, and turned on the radio. "Long day?" I asked. "Busy," she said, not looking up. She sipped, then added, "You worry too much, Nick." "Everything's fine." I looked at her, calm voice steady. "Fine," I said. "Then we'll see what tomorrow brings." She smiled, but her grip on the glass tightened, tiny crack on the rim. When she went upstairs, I checked her purse. Inside, the key. Brass, worn, engraved with 4 letters. M.F. 42. I placed it back exactly where it was. Across the street, Frank's porch light blinked twice. Signal received. The observation was over. Now it was time to hunt. I didn't sleep that night. The brass key lay heavy in my mind, 4 letters, 1 number, M.F. 42. Sarah breathed softly beside me, steady, peaceful. I'd stopped believing that sound years ago. At dawn, I walked outside. The air was thick, wet, smelling of rain on metal. Frank was already waiting by his truck. "You found the key?" he asked. I nodded. He lit a cigarette, exhaled slowly. M.F. Probably Millfield Financial. Old private deposit boxes downtown. He looked at me. "You want to know what she's hiding, or do you want to sleep tonight?" I said, "I'll take the truth." The bank opened at 9. Frank went in first, pretending to ask about an old account. I followed a few minutes later. Inside, the air smelled like carpet glue and old paper. The clerk was polite, older woman, badge reading Marcia. "Can I help you?" "Yes," I said calmly. "My wife lost her key. Box M.F. 42. She typed something, frowned. "That box was reactivated 2 weeks ago. I'll need ID." I handed over Sarah's copy, one of the duplicates I'd found in her drawer. Marcia compared the photo, nodded. "Right this way, Mr. Barrett." The corridor was narrow, lined with metal doors. Marcia left me alone. Box 42 was near the end, a little rust on the edge. The key fit perfectly. Inside was a small black envelope, a folded document, and a flash drive. The envelope held photos, not of Sarah and Aaron. Something worse. Blueprints. Property deeds. My signature, forged. And a contract transferring our house into her name only. I scrolled through the flash drive on my phone. Recordings. Her voice. "He'll never see it coming. Once it's sold, I'm gone." "The boy?" He'll adjust. My hand tightened around the phone until the screen cracked. Frank leaned against the wall. She was planning to clean you out, he said. Take the kid, take the house, disappear again. He paused. Same pattern as before. That evening, Sarah came home early. Hair perfect. Smile calm. She poured 2 glasses of wine and said, "We should talk." Her tone was soft, practiced, like a realtor closing a deal. "I think we've both changed, Nick. Maybe we rushed into this move." I looked at her hands. Perfect nails, no tremor this time. "You're right," I said. "Maybe it's time to let go." She smiled, relieved. "I knew you'd understand." Later that night, she fell asleep fast. I copied the flash drive to a second one and hid it inside Tommy's toy truck. Then I called Frank. "It's all here," I said. "Proof. Everything." He exhaled, slow and tired. "Then we finish this right." The next morning, I told Sarah I'd take Tommy to the park. She smiled, kissed us both, and waved from the porch, like any normal mother. Frank was waiting 2 blocks away. We sat in his truck, watching the house through the windshield. At exactly 11, a blue car pulled up. Aaron stepped out, checked his phone, and walked toward the door. Sarah opened it before he could knock. He carried a briefcase. She let him in. Frank looked at me. "Still want to play quiet?" I nodded once. "For now." 30 minutes later, the blinds in the living room shifted. She peeked outside, scanning the street. Then closed them again. Frank reached into the glove box and handed me an old voice recorder. "Still works," he said. "You might need it." I turned it over in my hand. The plastic was cracked, the play button worn smooth. I didn't know what I'd record yet. But I knew this. When people lie for a living, the truth has to walk in unexpected. Back home, Tommy was playing with his toy truck. He pressed the wheel, and a faint click came from inside, the hidden drive shifting slightly. He laughed. "It sounds like it's alive, Dad." "Yeah," I said quietly. "It is." Upstairs, Sarah was on the phone. Her voice dropped low. "No, not yet. He doesn't suspect a thing. After Sunday, it's done." Sunday. 3 days. That's when it would happen. I didn't know what her plan was. But I knew where it would end. And this time, she wouldn't be the one smiling. Sunday was coming. 3 days felt like an hourglass I couldn't flip back. Frank and I met in his garage that morning. The place smelled of dust, oil, and old coffee. He unfolded a street map on the hood of his truck. "She'll move the money first," he said. "Aaron's just delivery. But whoever's behind him, that's who signs the exit." He pointed to a red mark near the ridge. "That's an abandoned property her firm used to list. She'll use it as a transfer site." I stared at the map. "Then that's where it ends." He handed me a small recording pen. "Audio only. Put it in your pocket. Get her talking. Don't let her know I'm involved." I nodded. "Once it's on tape," Frank said, "I can hand it to the sheriff without saying your name." He paused, eyes narrowing. "You ready to lose her for good?" I said. She was gone the day she smiled. That night, I came home late. Sarah sat on the couch, phone in her hand, wine untouched. "You've been distant," she said. "Everything okay?" "Work," I replied. She tilted her head, studying me like a stranger at an open house. "You sure?" "Positive." She smiled faintly. "Then let's make tonight normal." Normal. She still believed that word could fix anything. While she showered, I checked her purse again. The key was gone. So was the envelope. Saturday 4 p.m. She dressed in beige, realtor camouflage, and told me she had a showing in the old district. I watched from the driveway as she backed out, taillights cutting through the rain. Frank's voice crackled over the radio. "She's headed toward the ridge." "Copy," I said. I followed half a mile behind. The wipers squeaked across the glass. Thunder rolled far off. At the turnoff she slowed, then vanished behind the trees. I killed the engine. The smell of wet pine filled the cab. Frank parked farther down the road. We waited. Then her voice came through the recorder in my pocket, muffled close. "He'll sign it tomorrow. He always keeps his word," Aaron answered. "And the kid? Already taken care of. Frank's watching him." Frank swore under his breath. She used my name. Lightning flashed. I stepped out, boots sinking in the mud. Through the rain I saw them under the half-collapsed awning of the old house. Aaron handed her a folder. She opened it, flipped pages, nodded. Then she looked up. Our eyes met. Her smile didn't fade. She closed the folder slowly, as if nothing had happened. "Nick," she said, "you shouldn't be here." Aaron shifted, reaching inside his jacket. Frank's voice cut through the static. "Get down!" A single pop echoed across the ridge, not loud, just final. Aaron stumbled back, clutching his shoulder. Frank stepped from the shadows, weapon lowered. "Drop it," he barked. Sarah froze. "Frank, you..." He cut her off. "Enough, Sarah. You set me up once before. Not again." Rain hammered the tin roof. I walked toward her, every step measured. She held the folder like a shield. Inside it, the deed, my forged signature, and a notarized custody transfer. She tried to speak. I raised the recorder. "Say it," I said. "Say what you did." Her voice trembled for the first time. I just wanted out." "Out of what?" "Of you." The recorder clicked off. Frank took the folder. "That's enough," he said quietly. "You've got your proof." Sarah turned toward me. "You think this makes you win?" I looked at her, rain running down my face. "This isn't about winning. It's about ending." By the time the sheriff arrived, Aaron was gone, the papers soaked, unreadable. But the drive in Tommy's toy truck was dry and safe. The truth didn't need to shout, it just needed to survive. As they put Sarah in the back seat of the cruiser, she glanced at me through the glass. And smiled again. Not guilt. Defiance. Frank said, "That's not over." I watched the car disappear into the storm. "No," I said. "But it will be." And somewhere behind that rain, I could almost hear the next move forming. Court came fast. 3 weeks of silence broken by lawyers and paper. Sarah sat across from me in that same beige suit she wore for open houses, calm, polished, pretending this was just another closing. She smiled when the judge read the charges: fraud, forgery, attempted custody interference. That smile said, "You'll never make it stick." She was right, not everything did. Aaron disappeared before trial. The forged deeds were water damaged. What stayed were the recordings. Her voice, word for word. "He'll never see it coming." When they played that clip in court, she looked at me once. Then looked away. The verdict wasn't the end I'd pictured. 18 months suspended sentence, loss of license, supervised visits. To the court it was a domestic misunderstanding. To me, it was the proof that truth doesn't roar, it just waits. Afterward, Frank and I sat on his porch. The air smelled of wet cedar and burnt coffee. He handed me a folded envelope. "Your copy of the flash drive. Thought you might want it." I didn't open it. Some things are better left sealed. Across the street, movers carried Sarah's boxes. She'd sold the house to cover legal fees. As they loaded the last crate, she turned toward me. No smile this time. Just a long look, empty, calculating, finished. Tommy watched from the window. "Is Mom going away again?" he asked. "Just for a while," I said. He nodded, tracing raindrops on the glass. Kids understand endings better than adults. Life settled into quiet rhythms. Work, school, the occasional dinner with Frank. But peace isn't silence, it's the absence of noise you can't ignore. One afternoon, I walked into the garage. The old recorder lay on the workbench, dried mud still on its edges. I pressed play. Her voice filled the air. Once it's sold, I'm gone. Then static. I let it run out. Then slipped the recorder into a box marked past and locked it away. Months later, an envelope arrived, no return address. Inside, a single photo. Erin, standing on a pier somewhere tropical, bandaged arm, drink in hand. On the back, 2 words in her handwriting. Still smiling. I burned it. Not out of anger, out of completion. Ash doesn't lie. That night, I stood on the porch, watching the streetlights flicker. Frank's house was dark. Tommy's laughter drifted from upstairs. For the first time in years, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt earned. She'd built her life on control. I'd rebuilt mine on restraint. Different tools. Same result. The end wasn't in the courtroom. It was here, in the quiet after. Subscribe if you want more stories about real men who don't scream. They act. Coldly. To the end. Real revenge stories. Subscribe to the channel.